Hello, welcome to the Agile Business Suite 9.0 information series. My name is Jane Hodson. I am a Principal Engineer with Unisys and the Product Owner for the Agile Business Suite runtime for ClearPath MCP. In this video, I will be talking about the new features for MCP. I will refer to Agile Business Suite as AB Suite. The agenda will cover these topics: high availability after an IC upgrade, group arrays, class arrays, and new feature suggestions. In previous AB Suite releases, it has always been mandatory that your applications be disabled during the first system build after an IC upgrade. From AB Suite 9.0, that will change. From now on, your applications can remain active during the first build after an IC upgrade. Application high availability and stability. For most IC upgrades, you may leave your application running during the first system deployment after the IC is installed. However, you are still required to deploy your system and reports with the rebuild option for the first build after the IC upgrade. This ensures code consistency across the application. Deploy your system and critical online reports, then your remaining reports. When the system and critical reports have been deployed, you should restart the system to activate changes to environment, LSS, and comms link TP. Changes to the release that require special attention. For changes to link support, the system must be shut down for the duration of the deployment. If the system is active, the deployment will prompt for the system to be shut down. Shutting the system down while a new link support library is installed prevents duplicate copies of link support in the mix, which will cause the system to hang. To activate changes to environment, comms link TP, or LSS, you must restart the system after the deployment has completed. The build log for the deployment will contain messages advising whether it is necessary to restart the system. If checking the build log for messages is a concern for you, always restart the system after a deployment where the system was active for the duration. The system must be deployed with the rebuild option when there are changes to the logic library. This ensures consistency across all code libraries and prevents runtime issues. If the first deployment after an IC upgrade is done with the build option, the build log will contain messages to advise you that the system must be deployed with the rebuild option in a subsequent build. To ensure the stability of your application, always deploy your system with the rebuild option after an IC upgrade. You must deploy your reports with the rebuild option when there are changes to the report info file. This ensures consistency across all reports and avoids issues at runtime. If there are changes to the report info file in an IC, the build log of the system deployment will include messages to advise you that there are changes. We recommend that you always deploy your reports with the rebuild option after an IC upgrade. Group arrays. In this release, MCP Runtime supports an array of groups. Your logic can access the members of the group directly instead of moving an element of the group array to a group with a multiplicity of 1 to access the members. This slide shows some examples of the syntax that is supported. The implementation of group arrays in MCP Runtime comes with restrictions. An array of arrays is not supported. This means that a group with multiplicity greater than 1 cannot have subgroups with multiplicity greater than 1 at any level. It also means that a group with multiplicity greater than 1 and its subgroups cannot have primitive members with multiplicity greater than 1. New invalid index behavior for arrays. In this release, we introduce a new invalid index behaviour for some array variants. If the array is a source operand of an expression, the expression will use the first element's value and glb.fail will be assigned to glb.status. If the array is a target operand of an assignment or statement, the assignment or statement is skipped and glb fail will be assigned to glb status. The new behaviour applies to these array variants: an attribute for which the template property is set to an array type, an array of groups, and an attribute whose multiplicity is greater than 1 and is a member of a group. If you change a primitive attribute with multiplicity greater than 1 to an attribute that templates to an array type, the invalid index behaviour of the array will change from the old one to the new one. Arrays to which the new invalid index behaviour applies will perform significantly better than arrays to which the old invalid index behaviour applies. Class arrays. In this release, we introduce support for an array of instances of classes to MCP runtime. On this slide, you can see some examples of the syntax that is supported. I will describe some of these examples. The first two examples show the invocation of a method in the second class instance of the array myVend. The third example shows class Vend being assigned to the second class instance of the array myVend. The fifth example shows an assignment involving an attribute of the first class instance of the array myVend. The eighth example shows the array myVend being passed as a parameter to a method called method3. The implementation of class arrays in MCP runtime comes with restrictions. Only an instance of a class may have a multiplicity that is greater than 1. As such, the multiplicity of a class is restricted to 0 or 1. This restriction applies to classes with the stereotypes that are listed here: none, which is no stereotype, iSpec, copy iSpec, event, and copy event. Class arrays are not supported when data invocation is enabled for the configuration used to build the application. Do not do development with class arrays if you use data invocation. The multiplicity of a class instance can only be greater than 1 if the class that it templates to does not contain any class arrays. In this release, there are some conditions on classes for which support for class arrays is not available. If the stereotype of a class is iSpec, event, or none, the multiplicity is restricted to 1 if any of the conditions listed are met. The store if present property on a persistent attribute is set to true. The direction of any parameter of the class instance methods is in. The class instance is polymorphic. In this release, support for class arrays is not available for copy iSpec or copy event classes. If the stereotype of an instance of a class is copy iSpec or copy event, the multiplicity is restricted to 1. Miscellaneous new feature suggestion inclusions. Here are the new feature suggestions for MCP that have been included in AB Suite 9.0. In previous releases, you have been limited to 26 extract files and 26 shadow reports participating in critical point recovery. If more than 26 extract files were defined in a report, there was no control over which extract files would participate. Now you can have up to 98 extract files and 98 shadow reports participate in critical point recovery. A new segment built-in attribute has been introduced to allow you to retrieve the application's comms window name in Logic. glb.comms window is a read-only built-in segment attribute which is set to the application's comms window name. A new MCP report configuration property called duplicate DB record is non-fatal has been introduced to allow you to specify whether a report continues running after it attempts to create a duplicate database record. If the property duplicate DB record is non-fatal is set to true, a report will assign glb.fail to glb.status when it attempts to create a duplicate database record, then it will continue. However, if the property duplicate DB record is non-fatal is set to false, a report will abort when it attempts to create a duplicate database record. False is the default setting. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it informative.